Well, hey, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to the channel for this installment of Open Mic, where the mic is open, the floor is yours. What do you guys want to talk about? That is what we are here to discuss. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. I got Ray Ora in the room with me. Jonathan Voico's also here.
I'm here. He's just a couple hours closer to TMNT now.
Yeah, we are less than 48 hours now from TMNT. And also, we didn't know this morning.
Yeah.
Jonathan Voico's birthday.
It's Mr. Man's
Producer
birthday.
Jonathan's birthday.
Oh, shucks.
Happy birthday,
boy.
Jonathan.
Well, thank you.
I feel
you.
terrible, man. I usually...
You don't have to. I never make any big deal about
I
it.
know.
Ray
but
will come
you're
in
getting
with some
something
kind of
tomorrow.
big
You're
baked
getting
good
something
tomorrow. And hey, happy birthday to everybody else out there if it's your birthday. We're glad to have you here. Now, as I said, it's open mic. There's two different ways you can get a question or topic addressed on our show. The first way is if you're not watching this while we're live, if you watch it one of the other 23 hours during the day, you can use our tip link that you can simply find at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. You can send that in anytime 24/7, or if you are watching live, you can use the super chat feature in the live chat. And a bunch of you guys have already been sending in a ton of questions. But before we get to those, we're going to start off with this. You guys might know that probably my number one most anticipated film of the year is Dune 2. The first Dune movie was spectacular. Won the most Academy Awards out of any movie that year. It didn't win Best Picture, but it did win the most Academy Awards of any film that year. I think it took home 6 that year. And it instantly became my wife's, Anne's, your sister's, second favorite movie of all time. Only behind Tom Hanks's Big. That is
Big and Dune.
so Big and Dune. I know that's it's not a you can't exactly pick down a type here, but I've been looking forward to this movie. Now, a week or two ago, a story came out. I think it was Deadline that was talking about that there are some whispers going on that they may delay Dune 2, I should say, into 2024. Because of the actors' strike. Now, the reason that was going around, as they explained, is because, these movies are big deals. You need all the marketing behind it that you can. And one of the biggest, most effective pieces of marketing is to have the actual stars of the movie getting out there and promoting it. But while the actors are on strike, they do not promote any movies. No promotion can be done. So Deadline was talking about there's some whispers that there's some talk going on around Warner Brothers about possibly delaying Dune out until 2024. Well, one of the big partners of this is IMAX. Dune, the first one, made a lot of money on IMAX screens. And now the CEO of IMAX is chiming in and he's saying, nah, they ain't moving Dune. And he explains why. Now, I've got his quote here, and bear with me. I think he says enough really interesting stuff here that I'm going to read his quote at length. So hang in there with me, and here we go. So this is Dune CEO's basically saying, nah, they ain't moving Dune. He says, this was during a call. He said, right, Dune. Specifically, there's another great movie coming out around in time, which is The Marvels from Marvel. And we can't play it because we are committed to showing Dune. That means, so you're not going to see the Marvels on IMAX screens. You're going to see Dune on IMAX screens. So Dune moves, we'll just go over to the Marvels. So if Dune moves, we'll just go over to the Marvels. And having a Marvel movie as a backup is not the worst position to be in the world. But in terms of Dune, my own opinion is that it is highly unlikely to move. And it's an educated opinion, meaning I spent a lot of time on the facts. So Dune is already in the midst of a marketing campaign. There are trailers out. There's lots of materials out. They had a big presentation, a lot of the conferences. As a matter of fact, the Denis Villeneuve presented at the IMAX CEO Forum. So it's kind of out of the gate. So if you put it back in the gate, you've got to duplicate those expenses at some time in the future of putting it out of the gate. In addition, Dune has a very long runtime in IMAX, up to 5 or 6 weeks. And it was just fortuitous that there were no other conflicting projects. But if they were to move that into next year and sometime, it's highly unlikely that they would have that amount of runtime. It's highly unlikely, says the CEO of IMAX, that you're going to get to have Dune on my IMAX screens for 5 or 6 weeks. And just to remind you, IMAX was about 20% of the growth on Dune 1. And I know there's a lot of marketing planned out for Dune 2. So if they move Dune 2, there's a carrying cost. Call it 10% of whatever it is. So how are they going to make up for that cost across the other incremental costs? The IMAX release is a really important element to their release pattern. And as I said just a minute ago, I don't think it's replicable for them to have that kind of runtime again. So basically, the IMAX CEO, who would be in the know, this is the guy who has the heads of Warner Brothers and all the studios on his speed dial. He's saying, look, I know there are whispers, but all due respect to Timothée Chalamet, the costs, the expense that would come from trying to uproot Dune from its current release date to another date is impractical. And if you do it, you ain't going to get 5 to 6 weeks of IMAX screens to yourself. You ain't just not going to have it, and that's going to cost you more money. So while there are and were whispers going around that maybe WB was thinking about moving Dune 2, the IMAX CEO seems pretty convinced this ain't happening. You know what? And I agree with him. I mean, yes, when you've got a movie with Timothée Chalamet and you got a movie with Zendaya and you got a movie with Florence Pugh and you got a movie with Austin Butler and you got a movie with Christopher Walken and you got a movie like with all these people in it, you want to be able to leverage them getting out there and talking about the movie. Absolutely, you do. But the fact of the matter is, you already started the ad campaign. You're going to have to spend all that money again if you move it. You're going to lose out on weeks, pardon me, of IMAX screens. It's going to cost you a lot. So the IMAX CEO is basically saying, yeah, I get it, but don't think for a second that they're moving it. And I tend to agree with them. So I think it's going to stay right where it is. I think it's going to come out on time. And if they can get the actor strike over with for them, by the way, there's a lot of time between now and when that movie comes out. I fully expect the actor strike is going to be done. I don't know about the writer strike, but I fully expect that the actor strike will be done by then. But even if it's not, it sucks that you can't have the stars out there promoting it. But the reality is this is a sequel. You can already build on the popularity of the first film, just advertise winner of 6 Academy Awards. You can do a lot to mitigate it. Would it be better to have the actors? Yes. But what's going to cost you more? Doing the ad campaign without the actors or trying to uproot your release date, move it to another one and having to remount an entire new ad campaign? It's probably going to be more cost effective for them to do it this way. So there you go. I think Dune is going to come out on time.
You think they're going to do one of those? We're going to have a Dune day like in the theaters where they play the first one and then the second one after for like a 24-hour.
It's possible. Yeah, I think they would do that.
I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah,
do it.
I forgot the first one already.
I mean, I won't do that, but they could do it. I love the movie, but that's
I would
6
probably
hours.
do
Yeah,
it. To go see that on the big screen again.
Yeah, I
6
know,
hours,
but on
though.
the same day?
I mean, I've got a 150-inch
Right.
home theater, right? It looks great, but that's nothing. That's infinitesimal to a real movie screen. To see that up there again, I'll tell you right now, your sister will want to go. If they do, I think nationwide, but I think there will be a number of theaters that probably do those Dune doubleheaders, and I will probably be one of them. I would go to that, I think.
That is a long.
Yeah, that's
a
like
long
7-8
viewing.
hours at the theater.
But listen, they were doing like 4 movie Harry Potter runs and
I
5
didn't.
movie MCU
As long
runs.
as they
I
let
didn't
you
do
walk
that.
in whenever you want.
Of course they do. Yeah, it's your seat. You can come in and out.
Yeah, you could
Why
talk on
not?
your phone. You could do everything.
Actually, put up a poll in the live chat there.
Oh wow, okay.
Let's ask you guys, if they do a double header, like if when Dune 2 comes out and they do a double header showing Dune 1 rolling right into Dune 2, would you go? Would you go to that? Or would you be like Ray and say anything over 17 minutes is too long? I can't do it. Well, in reality, you're talking 5.5 to 6 hours probably of sitting down. And that is a long time. But if they did a Dune doubleheader, would you guys go in there and watch it? You almost ready to put that up, Ray?
Yeah, I just forgot how to do it.
Okay, I'll do it myself.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot how to do it.
Okay, so I will put it up. Let's see. I will start a poll. And the question is, would you do a Dune doubleheader if they put it out that way? So the question is now up. Let us guys know what you guys would think. We'll come back to in just a minute.
The answer should be yeah, and hell no.
Yeah,
Those would be the
those
only
should be
two
the
choices.
two options. Yes and hell no.
I mean, I'd go see the original. I just don't want to do them both on the same day.
It's a long sit. All right. With that down, guys, let's get over to your question, shall we? We're going to start off with the tip link questions you guys sent in. So, Jonathan, what do we got?
First up, we got Murray Reich, who writes, one of two. Saw Oppenheimer at the biggest IMAX screen in the USA
Nice.
at AMC Lincoln Square, 75 feet tall, 100 feet wide. Ooh. I overall enjoyed it. The acting was phenomenal. There were so many actors in here I didn't even know were casted, even if they were in for a scene. Yeah, I didn't know that. A lot of surprises for me, too. The sound and the score made it feel thrilling despite being a drama. My main issue with the movie is it felt a bit too long. Attributing to it also was the extra 17 minutes of trailers and Nicole Kidman. Sorry, Jonathan and Ray, in advance. I had to mention it. Did you, though?
First of all, I was not aware that I thought IMAX was a standard size.
It's a standard aspect ratio.
Yeah, it's a standard format.
But
But
then-
I also thought like a true 70 millimeter IMAX screen, I thought, I mean, I didn't know, but I thought it was like one standard size.
They can shrink them down as long as they keep that aspect ratio.
Okay.
But
okay.
those true ones are like the 7-story ones.
Yeah.
Where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you
Which is
literally
only
feel like-
what, Ray, where you say there's only like 19 of them in the
13.
country?
13.
13.
Yeah. There's one at the Science Center by the Coliseum in LA. And that I've seen like space shuttle stuff there. I've seen like the Titanic going underwater, and you feel like you're moving because it's a massive screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the very first IMAX I went to was they had one in Newport, the town center.
Mm-hmm.
It was the underwater one, and we actually had to put these goggles sort of things on. And it felt like when we were sitting in there, it felt like if I fell forward, like, you know how you feel like at a
Yeah.
baseball game on the top.
It's weird, man.
top
You
rows?
feel like you're
That's
gonna-
how big the screen was.
Yeah.
Oh man.
By the way, just going over to the poll, we have 149 votes. 59% of the response said yes, they would do the Dune double feature. 41% agree with Ray and say no. So there you go. All right. What's next?
Perplexed writes, the problem I have with the MCU is who is the biggest threat? Is it Kang, Skrulls, or I would say the biggest threat in the universe nobody is mentioning right now is Arsham the Judge. Seriously, he's freaking opened the skies.
I still think it's funny that at the end of the Eternals, you literally had a larger than planet size being show up looking down the planet and said, I will return to pass judgment. And nobody's mentioned it.
Yeah.
It's a Tuesday. It's the world that we live in the MCU.
They just keep opening mystery boxes.
Here's the thing. To me, that is not the biggest issue with the MCU. That ain't it. Who's the big bad is not the issue of the MCU.
It's Kevin Feige right now.
Well, kind of, or the lack of Kevin Feige having clone technology for himself. The problem with the MCU is that their content just isn't that great right now. That's the problem. And listen to me, that is the only problem. Because if Secret Invasion was outstanding, if She-Hulk was outstanding, if Moon Knight was outstanding, if Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was outstanding, if Thor Love and Thunder was outstanding, if Hawkeye was outstanding, none of us would care right now about who the big bad. I mean, it would be a piece of trivia. It would be an interesting, hey, who do you think ultimately the big bad is right now? It would just be an interesting conversation, but we wouldn't really care because the projects were outstanding. The problem with the MCU right now is their quality has massively declined. And again, I always want to throw this, let me preface that by saying that there are still some amazing things. You know, Ms. Marvel was outstanding. Shang-Chi was outstanding. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is outstanding. There is still some outstanding stuff in there, for sure. But overall, the quality has dropped tremendously. And the quality hasn't dropped because they don't know who the big bad is. The quality's dropped because they're not making excellent content. And if they were, the question of who the big bad is would just become trivial. At least that's how I see it. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got the Murdoch Mystery who writes, do y'all have a movie soundtrack that you really enjoy but don't really like the movie? Most of the Fast and Furious movies don't vibe with me, but the soundtracks hit right for me. Bring on Filthy.
That's tough. Wow.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to say this is going to be a little bit controversial. We got to understand where I'm coming from. I have a soundtrack that I legit straight up love to a movie that is legit terrible but is a guilty pleasure. Mortal Kombat. and not the recent garbage, but I mean like the original Mortal Kombat movie.
The old garbage.
I mean, because come on, guys, it's a terrible movie, but I love watching it. I don't care. I love watching it, even though I fully acknowledge it as a totally terrible movie. But that soundtrack, listen, it's legit one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, period. Du hast, Juke Joint Jezebel, the main theme. I mean, it is a tremendous soundtrack and to a not so tremendous movie, but again, a guilty pleasure of mine.
I'll have to get back to you on that. I have to think about that.
I'm sure I have it, but I don't have an answer for you right now.
Really? Ray's, yours would be Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. Really?
I never even liked that sound. I like the movies more than that sound.
Okay, well, that's good to know. All right, what's next?
All right, Murdoch Mystery's back. Also, who in the crew has the most kennergy? Realize you accidentally skipped it over, but knew you needed to get to Oppenheimer screaming. Thanks for all you do.
Kennergy.
Kennergy.
So what did we skip over?
I guess we
Maybe
I
last
don't know.
time when we had to.
Or maybe he was a
go-
member.
Oh.
It might have been a member chat.
Oh,
question.
okay.
I don't even know what Kennergy is. to
I don't
be
even know what
honest.
Kennergy is.
I mean, did Ken have like a certain energy in the movie?
I mean,
He did.
is
but
it
was...
your ability to beach?
Yeah, I mean, well, then Ray for sure.
No. Come on, man. That guy had a six-pack. And
Ray
everything.
gets
I
that
have
cocoa
one.
butter out.
Okay, I gotta say, like, good Canadian kid Ryan Gosling looked like he is straight up auditioning for a Marvel movie. Like he's not built. He was chiseled.
Let me look up
Like
this.
he looked straight up chiseled in that.
There were
definition of
definitely rumors of him in talks with Marvel.
Yeah, there
films.
have been lots of. I mean,
Yeah.
there have been Ryan Gosling in the MCU rumors for a long time.
Oh,
so-
the Sentry or Hyperion recently.
yeah.
Recently.
All right. What's next?
Let's see. We got Steve S. who writes, "Hey John, so in the finale of Secret Invasion, I noticed Rhodey was wearing a hospital gown.
Yes.
The only time he would have ever been in a hospital gown is after his injury in Civil War. Has he been a Skrull this whole time?
Well, here's the thing. Says who? Right? I was having a discussion about that with my friend. So when we finally see the real Rhodey, he's wearing a hospital gown. Well, guess what? He could have been in that gown going to get a checkup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, well, the only time in the movies that we know he would have been in a hospital or whatever would have been there. But he literally, it could have been 2 weeks before the events of Secret Invasion that he went to get a medical checkup, and that's where they got him. You know, the doctor said, hey, strip down, put on the gown. You know, I mean, it could have been any time. The one thing that hints that Rhodey has been a Skrull for a long time isn't the fact that he was wearing a hospital gown. Because again, that he could have put that on. They could say that he got that on at any time. Or maybe just the Skrulls had him for a long time and thought, you know what, his clothes are starting to stink. Just put him in a hospital gown or something. The thing that does, though,
That day.
hint and suggest that maybe he's been there a while, was that his muscles didn't seem to work properly. He was having a hard time
Atrophied.
keeping his feet under him, right? So it could have been atrophy. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, so we'll see.
I got a definition for you.
What's that?
Kennergy is a state of being that encourages the breaking of traditional gender roles, promoting the idea that it's okay to be the sidekick and not always be the hero. And then the other simpler one is positive framing of masculinity.
I don't
All
think
right.
any of us are toxic masculines in this room, so
Yeah, not a lot of that going on here.
So I don't know. But I'm down to be a sidekick. I don't care. Whatever. I'd rather be a sidekick.
All right,
I'm a sidekick on the show.
let's keep going. What's
sidekick
next?
in my own life. Shekel Money writes, "Hey John, big fan from Israel. The trailers for The Creator looks amazing in my opinion. The cinematography and the CGI look great, but no one talks about this movie. I have a feeling it will lose a lot of money. What are your thoughts about the trailers?"
I was the only person I knew that didn't love the trailer. And they showed us a presentation for it at CinemaCon, and I didn't think it was all that great. So I was surprised that after the session was done and I talked to everybody else about it, everybody was like, oh my God, that Creator trailer looked amazing. Like everybody else loved it. But I said at CinemaCon, I'll say it now, this movie's not gonna make any money. I don't think anybody's gonna go see it. I think the trailers look very abstract.
They look great to me.
The one good thing I'll say about it is they give me Children of Men vibes. The trailer gives me real Children of Men vibes. But yeah, I don't think anybody's going to see it. I don't know. You love this trailer though.
Yeah, well, especially the one that we're seeing in the theaters right now,
Yeah.
the longer one. It, of course, because it's behind the director that did Rogue One. It reminds me of Rogue One, like some of the shots at least with the ships in the air. Yeah, totally. I'm totally down for this. I totally feel the same way as the writer does. What's his name? Whoever. Just,
Oh, I don't know. Shekel Money.
Shekel.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Well, Shekel Money's back. Also, and it's just a suggestion, why don't you put a link for the stream elements in your video bios? Thanks. Appreciate you very much.
I think we do have
Yeah,
a.
I think we do
Don't we
for
have
the
a
stream
link to the?
elements.
Do we have a tip link in the show
we
description?
do.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me look at.
I don't know. Maybe we
sure.
don't.
Become a.
Maybe it got removed from our by accident, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
there.
we'll look into that. All right. What's next?
We don't have.
Let's keep going. What's next?
All right.
Okay.
Just J Newbie writes, random thought of the day. Remember when Sony was thinking about doing an Aunt May movie? Wish I would have seen that versus Morbius. LOL. Thanks for all the work you guys put in. You might get a little of that in.
Madam Web.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Look, where everybody laughed at the idea of an Aunt May movie, right? But the reality is, if you have the right idea and the right story, you can make anything work. If you can make a Lego movie and make that great, you could take an interest. Admit, I was one of the guys that said, you're gonna make a show, not about Batman, but about Batman's butler when he was younger. Okay. Sure. Like I was totally one of the ones mocking the idea. And then it came out and I watched and I'm like, this is actually pretty damn good. So if you can make something about Batman's butler and make it interesting, they wrote a story none of us would have thought about. They gave him this really neat background and they made a really good show out of it. I don't think we should consider it canon, but they made a good show out of it. So if you can do that, why couldn't you do that with an Aunt May? You could have. And it certainly couldn't have turned out any worse than Morbius did. So why not? All right, what's next?
All right. We've got Willoughby Sting who writes, to give context, UK companies have run a 2-for-1 cinema tickets promotion on Wednesdays since 2003. It currently operates as Meerkat Movies. Use an app to get a voucher code. If any fellow Brits could confirm if this is the norm at Odeon cinemas lately. I went to book 2 tickets online and Odeon selected the seats, £8 each, and I couldn't use the voucher code. I was confused by this as Odeon participates in the offer. So I refreshed the page, select the same showing and seating, and then this is the final one here. A 2-for-1 code comes up. I have to select Meerkat movie tickets, so I do, and see that ticket price is now £10. What the hell, Odeon? Do you increase tickets prices if someone uses a 2-for-1 code? Is AMC Theaters parent company not impressed unless you screw over your customers? I didn't know Odeon was owned by AMC.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that either.
Some may argue I'm still saving money on the cost, which is a valid counterpoint, but not as much as customers should. Sorry for the rant, but I don't get what happened to Odeon in the last few years.
Well, I mean, I have never stepped foot in an Odeon theater. Obviously, I've never been there, so I can't give any input on that.
But if that's true, that's a 2-for-1 on Wednesdays. Is that what he's saying?
Well, yeah, but what he's saying is that when he was just going to buy the tickets without the code, the tickets were $8 a piece.
Then he used the code.
So theoretically,
Yeah.
then he used the code and the price went up. Now, granted, instead of getting 2 tickets for $16, he was getting 2 tickets for $10.
Yeah.
That's still a great savings. That's still a great deal. But you shouldn't call it 2-for-1. Now, again, I have no idea about the legitimacy or illegitimacy of that. I'm not familiar with the cinema. I've never been there. I've never heard of the apps. But I mean, hey, listen, it's still a deal. It's still a deal.
I just figured, what if the code is like some 26-digit code that you can't copy on your phone, and you went through the whole thing just to be charged $2 more?
It's like
And
use the
it's
code.
got symbols that aren't on your phone,
Yeah.
like the Prince name sign or something.
I hate UPS tracking codes. They're like the longest, and I hate them. It just reminds me of that because I have to write it down on my piece of paper and then type it in on my phone.
You use the code and it kicks you in the shin.
You know what you should do? Just take a picture of the code, and then your phone will translate that into text, then copy and paste it.
Well, who cares, John?
All right, I'm trying to give you a tech tip.
The problem's not even there anymore.
All right, what's next?
Prom Night writes, gotta hand it to you, John. Said it many times. Chapek mandate 18 Marvel projects in 2 years. We'll see the effects of that for a while. Secret Invasion had an amazing first episode. Later, it was a bit half-assed. What the hell is self-assed? Half-assed with moments of brilliance, showing you the potential that could. It just ends at that could. So that could have been probably.
Yeah, I mean that. look, man, the Chapek era is
18.
the Chapek era is going to be looked at. Look, I will give this to Chapek. He swung for the fences. All right. Listen, no one will ever be able to accuse Bob Chapek of not having ambition, of being afraid to really take big swings. And listen, so I'll give credit where it's due. The biggest problem with Bob Chapek, though, again, was reflected in his leadership structure reorganization. That's when the red alarm bells went off for me. When he made that leadership hierarchy transition and he took the creatives out of power and put bankers in power over the creatives, that's when I went, hold on. Hold on. This is going to lead to some, and what happened? The banker side put out this many projects and do the, it will be a very, very dark era for Disney, and they're still going to be feeling the effects of it for the next 2 to 3 years. Like, just because they got him out and they put in the new CEO, the effects of it are still going to be in place for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And things are going to get worse before they get better, I think. Chapek Energy, says Sir Malston in the live chat. All right, what's next?
Weird Barbie writes, Disney lost, I don't know if this is true, but Disney lost $900 million last 8 films. WTF, looked into it, came from a nameless troll on YouTube, quoted in Daily Mail by his code name. Did you know Guardians 3 and Wakanda Forever lost so much money, John? What happened to media? Citing a nameless troll.
Well, I mean, look, Daily Mail is not considered to be one of the bastions of actual journalistic,
especially if they're citing people on random people on the internet.
Yeah. Listen, that's why, to me, there are 2 categories, right? Well, there are 3. There are 3 categories. There is Gus's gas station movie reviews .fart, right? That's everybody on YouTube. That includes me, bloggers, buttfuck nobodies, right? Then you've got the top tier, which is the legit trades, okay? Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Deadline, stuff like that, like the legit trades. And then just under them, I'd put that next tier of not quite top tier, but still pretty damn reliable. So you get your sites like Coming Soon, sites like Joe Blow, things like that, right? They're not the top thing. But anything under those guys is just Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart.
Yeah.
And whenever you hear these things, I always mention to people, look where it's coming from. And here's the big thing, right? When I say to people, look at the source, where's that coming from? They'll look at the Daily Mail and say, oh, the source is the Daily Mail. No. It wasn't the Daily Mail. Daily Mail wasn't the source. They just reported it. Daily Mail got that information from some whatever YouTuber, right? Always follow the source to see where did it ultimately come from. And then if it comes from a Gus's gas station movie reviews.fart kind of level stuff, ignore it. Or at least file it away. Like, maybe keep the information handy, but file it away until you see some reputable information come forward. Anyway.
That's so sad because Daily Mail actually has a show from 3 to 4, I believe, on TV. Like, it's actual news.
So does TMZ.
But like, the only reason why I like them is because the host of the show is Carson Palmer's brother. I forgot what his name is, though.
Gus Palmer.
Yeah, Gus,
Palmer.
yeah.
All right, what's next?
Milo Murphy writes, do you think it would work better for the MCU to make Disney Plus movies instead of shows? I think Falcon, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Ms. Marvel, and upcoming shows like Echo or Ironheart could work better as Disney Plus movies.
Really, they shouldn't. I didn't think this before, but I am now of the opinion that Disney Plus shouldn't be making anything for Marvel. I really don't. Put your energy and effort into making movies. And movies ain't going to make shit on Disney Plus. Make movies for theaters. Make real theatrical released content. And maybe do like 1 season of 1 show per year on Disney Plus. Maybe at most. But Bob Iger said it best. They've just diluted the product. So instead of spending half-assed money on some 6-episode thing you're just going to dump on Disney Plus, thereby lowering the quality of the brand overall, stop doing that bullshit. Take your energy, resources, man hours, and time and put them into real projects that you put full resources behind, full energy behind, the top of your creative talent behind, put it out in theaters, let it make $1 billion, and then put it on Disney Plus where people can come and watch it there. I'm just starting to believe that Disney, they shouldn't be making anything for Disney Plus. I'm really starting to get to that point. All right, what's next?
Exercise Barbie writes, I have a lightheartedly laugh a little at the poor people who arrived in pink for Barbie, learned it was sold out, then had to shift mental, emotional gears for Oppenheimer, only to then be hit with an Exorcist trailer. Talk about an experiential U-turn.
Yeah, it was funny because Ray pointed out in our first screening of Oppenheimer, you saw a few people straggling in wearing pink. It's like they were either doing the second part of a doubleheader or they were like the $5 million worth of people that Variety talked about that actually came to go see Barbie. It was sold out and then bought tickets for Oppenheimer instead. Came in wearing pink. Yeah, a little bit of an experiential U-turn. That's a good term. All right, what's next?
Marie Reich writes, do you think now in retrospect it was a mistake on Paramount's part to release Mission Impossible 7 so close to Barbenheimer? If yes, where would you have put the film instead on that date?
I don't know that it was a mistake. You see, saying it was a mistake, let me run over here to Box Office Mojo for a second. It's making the assumption that the movie was doing fantastic and then only ran into the brick wall that is Barbenheimer, right? But the reality is, if I can get my numbers here, there it is. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, and I'll size this up a bit. When it had the weekend to itself, it quote unquote only made $54.6 million.
Chump change.
I mean, for Tom Cruise, who's coming off a $1 billion success in Top Gun 2, a $54 million opening, which by the way would be magnificent for most movies. A $54 million opening would be great for a lot of movies. But suggesting that, they shouldn't have opened so close to Barbenheimer. Guess what? When it opened, there was no Barbie in theaters. And there was no Oppenheimer in theaters. They weren't there. So whereas Barbie made $162 million opening weekend, you're literally talking about a Mission Impossible movie that made less than 1/3 of what Barbie made on its opening. And Barbie had to open against Oppenheimer.
Yeah. And
Mission Impossible didn't open against anything.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this as somebody who straight up loves that Mission Impossible movie. I think it's a better movie. I think Barbie's really good. Don't get me wrong. Barbie's a really good movie. Mission Impossible's the better movie. But you can't blame Barbie and Oppenheimer for it opening to less than 1/3 of what Barbie made us opening when it didn't open against anything. So here's the problem. If you put it anywhere else, it still would have made only $54 million opening weekend, right? So I really don't know that having it open before Barbie and Oppenheimer is the problem. Like, listen, if Mission Impossible opened to $105 million opening weekend, $110 million opening weekend, and then just died dead in its tracks once Barbie and Oppenheimer came out, okay, maybe then there's a discussion to have. But the fact of the matter is, I think a lot of people way overestimated how interested the movie public was to go see another Mission Impossible. And listen, I did try to warn people. Like when everybody was saying Mission Impossible is going to be $1 billion film, what did I say? I said, I'm not sure how, because none of the other Mission Impossible films were $1 billion films. They've never hit that big. So, I mean, I thought it would do better than this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not pretending I'm Nostradamus here. I thought it would do better than this.
Yeah.
But even I, with my lower expectations, was off.
I mean, Oppenheimer did better than that, and it had
$80 million. Oppenheimer had to open against Barbie on the same weekend, and it made like 50%.
Yeah.
More than 50% more than Mission Impossible did.
I think it was only on 3,600 screens, whereas this is 4,300 screens, Dead Reckoning. So Oppenheimer had fewer screens and still opened bigger.
All right. What's next?
All right. Let me click over here. Perplexed writes, it really sucks to see where the Disney Plus MCU shows are at. My friends of mine don't watch them anymore due to their inconsistencies. I can't even make them watch Secret Invasion because only half of it is good. It's time for somebody higher up to wake up.
I'll tell you what, they haven't, only two, how many have there been? So we've had WandaVision and Ms. Marvel. Those are the only two ones that have been great. That's it. Falcon the Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Secret Invasion. Do I got that right? Like, forget the what if. The cartoon thing doesn't count. So what do we got? 8? Mm-hmm. Only 2 out of the 8 are great. That means 75% of the shows that they're making have not been great. They have dropped the ball. They have dropped the ball, and they should just stop it. Scrap the Ironheart show. I mean, I guess
Echo.
Loki season 2 is already shot, so I guess air it. But
I really like Loki. I'm an outlier maybe, but
you're not alone. You know, I know a
this
couple
one.
people who really like. I wish I did because Loki's
put
one of my
3 out of
favorite
8.
MCU characters.
Yeah.
But I didn't love the show. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
but still 3 out of 8 is still bad.
It's not. Look at the MCU in phases 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
They had like an 85 to 90% fantastic rate. You know, 1 out of every maybe 5 movies they put out was not fantastic.
Let's not forget that what that other writer said. To be put under to do 18 projects in 2 years. Now if that's really true, then we could see why the product is so bad.
yeah.
They couldn't take time on any of them.
No, it was all rushed.
Well, it was all rushed, and
Because-
you've got, again, I've said this before. Let's say I've got 2 of the best guys working for me, Jonathan and Ray, right?
Let's just say that's true.
Yeah,
let's say
pretend
that's true.
Bizarro Land.
Yeah.
So if I were to do, at one point like a year ago, I was considering having the John Campea Show running like 24/7. But here's the problem. If I had to like open up a second studio, I would have to get somebody who's not as good as Ray and not as good as Jonathan to run that studio. Because if they were as good or better than Ray or Jonathan, they'd be here instead of Ray and Jonathan. So I'd have to get people who are not as good. Then if I open a third studio, well, now I have to get a guy who's not even as good as Ray's replacement and another guy who's not as good as Jonathan's replacement because I already hired those 2. So the more of the studios that I open, the lower and lower the talent pool gets. Marvel would put out, say, 3 to 4 projects a year.
Yeah, on a
so
good
they'd
year.
get the 4 best directors they could get, the 4 best writers or sets of writers that they could get, the 4 best designers that they could get, the 4 best cinematographers they can get. Okay, now double that out to 8. Now you're hiring 4 writers, 4 directors, 4 cinematographers, 4 this, 4 that you wouldn't have thought were good enough for you to hire before, or else you would have hired them for the first 4 projects. Now you got to work with a diminishing return.
Yeah, slim pickings.
And the biggest thing, I've said this before, I will continue to say this. Kevin Feige, who is the biggest control freak in Hollywood, and I don't say that as a bad thing, Kevin Feige used to have direct hands-on quality control on every single Marvel project. And that's why it stayed so consistent and why it stayed so good. Well, guess what? He can't do that anymore. He's now got he's got projects he literally doesn't do anything on other than approve and greenlight and maybe take a look at script. Like, as long as he's stretched way too thin and he can't be directly involved, you're going to have an MCU that falters and struggles, and they got to cut that back. All right, what's next?
All right, Perplexed just kind of goes on and says, and like what Star Wars is doing with their Disney Plus shows, which shows that if you didn't see Boba Fett, you're lost in Mando 3. So 2 here in the MCU. If you didn't see WandaVision, you won't appreciate Doctor Strange 2. They need to fix this problem.
Yeah, I've talked about that a lot recently. The basics is this. The way Marvel used to operate in the first 3 phases was every single new Marvel project was a valid entry point for a new fan. There was no project in the first 3 that you had to see something else in order to watch this. Not even Endgame. We've got a friend who Endgame was the first MCU movie they saw. They didn't feel lost at all. I'm sure they missed some of the nuance, but they did not feel lost. They totally got what was going on. They don't do that anymore. Like, God help anybody who didn't watch Ms. Marvel that's going to try to go in and watch the Marvels now. Right? I mean, and they've got to correct that. All right, what's next?
All right.
By the way, I just want to mention Ryan Trabucco just became a producer level member in our channel members. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that, man.
Tropes.
All right, what's next?
All right, Sam Fisher with our final tip. John, for the Star Trek crossover, all you need to know is that Bo Imler is a nervous and try-hard officer who wants to be the next Picard. And Mariner is the rule-breaking slacker who prefers to goof off, and her mom is her ship's captain.
So Star Trek Strange New Worlds just did an episode where it has live action crossover characters from the animated series Lower Decks. I don't watch Lower Decks, but I love the idea that they're doing this. And now I know when I do watch the episode, I've got a little bit of a better foundation. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right. With that down, guys, before we get on to the super chats that you guys have been sending in, we're going to take a second here and thank the two sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Rocket Money and my mobile service provider. And guys, 100% click the link. They should be yours. Our friends at Mint Mobile. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. And for me, Rocket Money has been a godsend. I've told you the story before about how I found out that I was still paying a gym membership from when I was still living in Burbank, California 2 years ago. And just recently, I had completely forgotten that I was subscribed to multiple music services with different apps. Rocket Money identified the ones I wasn't using and helped me cancel my subscriptions super easy. And I'm not alone. Over 80% of people have subscriptions that they've completely forgotten about, and chances are you're one of them. Like that Stars app you use just to watch one show, or that free gaming trial that you never got around to canceling. Rocket Money will quickly and easily find your subscriptions for you, and for any that you don't want to pay for anymore, just hit cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. It's that easy. Rocket Money also helps you manage all your finances in one place and automatically categorize your expenses, so you can easily track your budget in real time and also get alerted if anything looks off. So stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much-needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Rocket Money and Mint Mobile for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. All right, that down. Ray, we had something up?
Oh, yeah, Ryan Trabooks. He just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. Now he gifted memberships. Thanks, man. That's awesome of you, dude. All right, what's next?
All right. Christopher Brickner writes, if they do a Dungeons & Dragons 2, maybe choose a better release date instead of 5 days before the Super Mario Brothers movie, as that hurt the first one.
Did it, though? I'm going to go over, we're going to talk about that same thing again, right? Okay, well, what was the opening weekend? Well, the opening weekend was $37 million. So having Mario Brothers open the next week wasn't the problem. It was people weren't going to go see it. And again, it's really too bad because, guys, this is a great movie. What do we say it's on now? It's on Paramount. Guys, if you need a reason or excuse to get Paramount Plus, this is a good reason to get it. Go and watch this movie. It's a really fun. It doesn't matter if you've never played. I've heard from lots of people who never played Dungeons & Dragons, saw the movie, loved it. Go check it out.
And also, I got to give you a warning, everyone. If you get Paramount, you're never leaving. They won't let you. Every time you try to cancel, they'll offer you an extra month, and you'll just keep going. It's been a year already. I still haven't gone off of it.
It's a good streaming service, though. They got some good stuff on there.
It is. When things start picking up, the Ninja Turtle stuff, come on.
I just stream it through Amazon. Orange Hand writes, a few years back, a sports analyst rightfully got blasted for saying Ohtani can't be the face of baseball due to his race. What's the worst take you've ever heard from a sports analyst?
Oh, I don't know.
There's so many.
I'd have to think about it. I mean, but there have been, I mean, like there's two different things. What is the dumbest thing that a sports analyst said versus a bad take? Because it's fine to have a bad take. Like the worst one I ever saw was 3 Super Bowl rings ago. This one guy on NFL Sunday said, Tom Brady will never win another Super Bowl again. And then he added 3 more rings on top of that.
Yeah, but now he won't ever.
Yeah, but now he was always saying, but now he won't ever. Now that he's retired, I can say that. See, that's just a bad take. But then they're saying something really like just being stupid.
Yeah,
and I don't even want to repeat the ones that we've heard before. But yeah,
But that one is dumb too. The one he just said.
Yeah,
You could be the face of anything if you're good at it, I think. If you're good at a sport, so if you're dominating at a sport, it doesn't matter what you look like or what gender you are, whatever. If you're dominating a sport, you should have respect and people should acknowledge you.
yeah, I agree. All right, what's next?
Suthius writes, did Disney really change Cap 4's title because of backlash, or did they realize Falcon Winter Soldier Episode 1 title is also New World Order?
What backlash?
I don't know why there would be New World Order versus...
I never heard any backlash. I mean, New World Order, I never heard any backlash from it. And just because it was the name of one of the episodes, that doesn't preclude them from making that the name of the movie. If anything, it's a good reason to make it the name of the movie. I just thought it was a bad name. And like I said, whenever I read Captain America New World Order, all I heard was Jimi Hendrix music and see Hollywood Hulk Hogan walking down a ramp. New World Order, ladies and gentlemen. No, I think the new title is just a better title. I think they just looked at it and said, you know what? This is a better title. So they went with the better title.
And
that's all.
You know, based off a novel, Aldous Huxley, of the same title. So,
all right, what's next?
John Redcorn writes, rewatch Puss in Boots again, and it gets better every time I watch it. The wolf is one of the best animated villains of all time.
Oof.
Give me Shrek 5, damn it.
The wolf is a great villain.
Oof, that one scared me.
I was surprised how good that movie was. And I like, well, I didn't love the earlier Puss in Boots, but I love Puss in Boots in the Shrek movies. It's just a damn good movie. And you're right, the wolf, especially when you realize who the wolf is, then that gets really creepy. And it's just, the dialogue is great. The story, the mythology of it is great. The use of the classic characters. It's just a wonderful, wonderful film.
And you brought that up because it just started streaming, I think, recently.
I think it's been streaming for a while.
Oh, it was? I thought
Yeah,
it was
I think it's been streaming for a while. But there's at the end of the film, minor spoiler here for you to watch it, but at the very end of the film, they're off sailing. What do you want to do next? He goes, I want to visit some old friends, and they're on a boat. And then the camera spins around to show that they're sailing towards far, far away. And everyone's like, oh, so yeah, I want to see a Shrek 5. I really do now. All right, what's next?
Kyle Schneider writes, Mutant Mayhem sequel is already in the works. Yeah.
Okay.
Preparations, but...
ignore that. Everything has a sequel in the works. Guess what? If this movie comes out and makes $85 million and tanks and flops, they ain't making a sequel. See, everybody can say, we're making a sequel. We're green lighting it. Like, I used to get taken in by that too. It's like, wow, they must have a lot of confidence. No, it's marketing. It's like, hey guys, you better go see this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because it's so good. We already greenlit a sequel. Yeah, if this movie comes out and falls on its face, and I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying if it does flop and lose money, that greenlit sequel is going to mysteriously disappear.
Producers talking about like possible plans for a movie, it means nothing. It's not being written because the writers are on strike.
All right.
So and they actually did clarify that. They said if this does good,
sure, but of course it's a franchise, right?
To what you're saying,
if it does great, 100% they'll do another one. 100% they will.
And I like what I'm hearing. They're saying this movie could be a good standalone, or it could be a bridge to a next one. So it could go either way. So if it doesn't do good, then it's a good movie by itself.
All right, what's next?
Daniel Vicura writes, I'm very interested in what those original Secret Invasion scripts, which were said to be great. I have a hard time believing what we saw was the plan.
I read all the scripts except for the last episode's script. And I really liked the scripts. I thought the script was really quite good. And the show, up until the finale, I thought the show was good. I didn't think it was great, but I thought the show was good. I don't think it quite lived up to the potential of the scripts. Maybe I should have read the final episode script, and I might have been a little bit more prepared. But yeah, like after I read episode 1, because remember I told you guys a long time ago that something happens at the end of episode 1 that just made me freak out. I mean, it's the death of Maria Hill. Who's been like, she's been around since the first Avengers movie.
And a good Canadian kid.
And a good Canadian, Colby Smulders, good Canadian girl.
Sidekick to Nick Fury.
When they killed her off at the end of the first episode, that's when I decided I'm not going to read the last episode. I'm going to read this. I'm going to finish reading the scripts, but I'm not going to read the last episode because this one, obviously, this show is a show that's going to throw us a lot of curveballs and all this kind of stuff. But man, I wish I'd seen. I wish I had read the final because I could have been prepared for it. All right, what's next?
Hey, writes, according to the Hollywood Reporter, studios have started hiring dozens of AI jobs starting at $180K a year. I'll look into that. That's just ridiculous. Pay your actors and writers first. I would have to know the details on the AI though.
Like there was that one with Netflix posting for an AI
but it was like a manager.
or something.
It's not like it was for It's like we don't know what it was for.
Yeah, but listen, AI. If you listen to the basically the white sheet presentations that NVIDIA's given, AI isn't like when people think AI and entertainment, they just think about something's writing the scripts for them. No, less there are many applications for AI technology. The many applications that even things like studios can really, really leverage. So no, you don't go pay your actors first. Look, you've got other roles and jobs you got to fill. Hey, we need somebody in accounting. Well, don't hire an accountant because we got to pay our actors first. No, you have other roles, other responsibilities, business needs to keep on, and these things are all expanding that way. But here's the problem. Whenever a film fan hears AI in connection to studio, they automatically, their heads go to, and I get it, go to somebody's creating fake actors on a computer or writing scripts on a computer.
Right.
Again, I'd encourage people to go and watch the NVIDIA presentations on these things, but there are hundreds of applications that every industry and every business across every kind of sector can absolutely have practical applications for. So it probably isn't for what it is you think it's for. Anyway, all right, what's next?
All right. CJ Rebirth writes, I'm even more excited for Murders in the Building season 3 after seeing the trailer with that Audrey from Joyride is going to be in it.
Ooh, I haven't seen the trailer.
I haven't seen it either.
I did not know the trailer for season 3 came out.
Yeah.
What a delightful show. Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
I honestly, I thought it looked stupid at first, and then Ann told me it was really good. I started watching with her, and it's like, this is a really damn good show. I cannot wait for season 3. All right, what's next?
Daniel is back and writes, Forbes reported on the budget of Secret Invasion as being $212 million, which apparently was due to reshoots. Clearly something changed with the ending. Well,
not necessarily. Listen, reshoots happen all the times. They don't necessarily have to do with the ending. Listen, and by the way, people think, well, 212, no. You got to break things down in terms of dollars per minute, right? Dollars per minute. Because, I've had these discussions with people say, well, this show cost X amount of millions of dollars. That's the same as they spent on the movie. Well, not really. That movie you're talking about was 2 hours long. So they spent X number of millions of dollars per minute. Whereas I haven't done the calculation myself. My guess is that Secret Invasion probably clocked in somewhere around 5 to 5.5 hours long. So in reality, I mean, theoretically, you could have done 3 feature-length films for that same budget. So it's actually not that much when you really think about it. You compare it to its theatrical counterpoints. All right, what's next?
Okay, Daniel writes, excuse me, for her turn as the power broker, which was thinking it was leading to a role in Secret Invasion with talking to Gravik in her final scene in, I don't know what FATWS is.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was clearly always a setup for Armor Wars. That was like the ending of that with her as the power broker was clearly a setup for Armor Wars. And the use of that technology. Gravik wasn't interested in Earth's technology. Gravik was just interested in taking over the Earth and getting the DNA. Had nothing to do with power broker. So that was also, you're going to see that get picked up and continued once we get to Armor Wars, if Armor Wars ever happens. Because now with Bob Iger saying, hey, we've diluted the product, we need to cut back a little bit. Maybe Armor Wars becomes one of the projects that gets on the chopping block. But Armor Wars was going to be a series, and then they changed it to being a movie.
Right.
So maybe that will keep it on the production timeline, at least hopefully. All right, what's next?
And then Daniel says, how was Sharon Carter not revealed to be a Skrull in Secret Invasion? What an easy layup. She was dusted where you see her pick in Endgame alongside the others at the 9:41 mark. Only justification. Let me see if I can find. Oh, okay. That's down there. So that was a part 2. Was her turn as the power broker. I see. So he's saying that she's not revealed as a Skrull.
Oh, okay. So I never thought that at all. I never thought that at all. I mean, they may eventually say that is the case, but I don't think everybody because remember, they said there's 1 million Skrulls on Earth. I don't think everybody who is a Skrull was necessarily revealed in Secret Invasion. I mean, that's a seed they can keep planted for a long time if they want. All right, what's next?
All right. Abraham writes, Barbie made $32.7 million Wednesday overseas, an increase of 2.5% from Tuesday, already passed the $500 million mark worldwide. The movie is hitting $1 billion.
Maybe. We'll see.
It's
it's halfway there, but it's also made the biggest chunk of its money-making drive is now done. So we'll see. But yeah, it crossed the $500 million mark before 1 week, earlier than a week. It's crazy. It made $23 million on Wednesday domestically alone. After it made 26 on Monday, 26 on Tuesday, and 23 on Wednesday. I mean, I got to tell you guys, this thing is shocking the hell out of me every step of the way. And I still don't think it'll make $1 billion. But I am no longer willing to put money on that. I would have been willing to put money on it, but I'm not willing to put money on that now because it very well could.
And I would like to think that the Turtles would stop this train from going through, but really, Barbie has no competition in the next month or two. I don't think there's anything coming out that's big enough to even stop this.
Yeah, maybe. All right, what's next?
All right, Cutter Hale writes, super excited for next Thursday, doing a double feature of Meg 2 and TMNT, both in 3D, super pumped. Taking my cousin to Haunted Mansion in an hour.
You know, you might not have a bad time. Haunted Mansion is just better than I thought it was going to be, right? And granted, I didn't think it was going to be very good at all, but it was better than I thought it would be. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not excited for Meg 2. I didn't like the first one. And I'm a big Jason Statham fan. I love Jason Statham.
Let me look this up real quick.
But TMNT, listen, by the way, where's the Rotten Tomatoes score for TMNT right now?
I don't want to look, man.
We'll look it up. I need you to look it up for me right now.
I'll look it up.
So, because we checked this morning, I'm sure it's come down a bit, but what is this? Because this morning it was at like 97%.
Meg 2 is under 2 hours too, so that's good. That's all.
Most people don't care about whether most people only care if it gets over 3 hours.
So there's 6 more reviews, and it's still 97.
So it's still 97%. Is that what, 36 reviews now? So, I mean, listen, color me stunned. I cannot believe it's getting that kind of reaction. 97% right now. We'll see what we're going to see it 45 hours from now.
Oh my God.
45 hours for seeing that movie. All right, what's next?
All right. The Super Ranger Mud Truck writes, saw Oppenheimer. It was great. No spoilers. Although I noticed the flags in the movie. Oh, we already covered this, but the flags in the movie had 50 stars when they were supposed to have 48. Hawaii and Alaska were state yet until 1959. Just like a fun little mess up he found.
Were you really able to count the stars that fast?
I think because of the
way it's laid out.
Oh, can you?
There's an indent.
That's interesting. That's it. I mean, obviously not being American, I wouldn't notice that sort of thing. But interesting.
Yeah.
Because now it's like 5 rows that are even, but there would have been an indent.
All right.
Yeah.
What's next?
Connor Dorian, Charlie Manx writes, isn't Kang the Conqueror technically a god too? Well,
I don't think so.
He isn't through his own technology, but not.
I mean, but so no, I wouldn't say so. No.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Ryan Ramirez writes, love the show, guys. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that, man.
Thank you, Ryan.
And then Daily Prophet writes, I hope James Gunn's new DCU becomes more successful than the MCU has ever done before. Detective Comics was always better than Marvel story-wise. I hope Superman Legacy is as good or better than Iron Man. Is as good or better than
I really don't care. All I care about, look, I don't care that I want Marvel to do better than DC. I want DC to do better than Marvel. I don't care about that. What I care about is good movies. And I like to see good movies be rewarded by good box office. I mean, and that's it. But I don't go into a movie thinking, I want this movie to make $1 billion. Have you seen it? No. Well, how do you even know if it's good? Why would you say you wanted to make $1 billion if you don't know even if it's good? Like, we shouldn't go into movies with any sort of a preset agenda, right? Like, let's hope the movies are good. And then if they are good, let's hope for success for them, because we want success. We want good movies to enjoy success that they deserve. And as much as I want James Gunn to have all the success in the world, because I think the dude's awesome, but I'm not going to go in hoping that DC makes more money than Marvel when I don't even know yet if the new DC films are going to be good or not. I mean, I suspect they will be, but I don't know. But if they are good, then I hope they have success. All right, what's next?
YT Pump Life says they made Storm one of the strongest mutants. Who's they?
Well, I mean, in the comic books, I believe she's what's the highest level of mutant again? Omega level. I think in the comics they said Storm was an Omega level
Makes
mutant.
sense. I mean, you're controlling.
They certainly didn't make her out to be the most powerful in the movies, but like in the comic books, they say she. I mean, which when you think about it, she controls the weather. I mean,
No.
that's pretty Omega level right there. So yeah. All right, what's next?
I learned what happened to a toad when the electricity hits it. So that's cool.
Same thing that happens to everything else.
John Redcorn writes, chances Venom or Vulture appear in Craven.
Vulture 0, Venom I'll give 20%. I don't think you're going to see Michael Keaton doing that again.
Yeah.
But Venom I'll give 20%. Cuz again, I would love it. Love it. I mean, they're obviously not doing it in this movie, but if they set up the Great Hunt where Craven is hunting Venom, that would be pretty cool. All right, what's next?
All right, Daniel Vakura. We are obviously getting MI8, but MI7 flopping with its insane budget feels like it has been underreported, honestly, in light of Barbenheimer's success.
I don't know what you mean by underreported.
Yeah, it's not like they're like, oh, give more money to this one than...
Yeah, like Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 at this point has made $378 million. So I wouldn't call it flopping at all. Like, it's still got legs. And once everybody's seen Barbie and Oppenheimer and they want to go back to the movies, guess what? MI7's got you.
Yeah.
But it is concerning. The first cause for concern was the $54 million opening. Again, great for most movies, but not great for a movie that costs so much money to make, especially with all the extra safety precautions and the stopping and the restarting, the fact that they were shooting it during COVID, all that kind of stuff. It was a mega expensive movie to make. And the first alarm bells was the $54 million opening weekend. But listen, don't count it out yet, right? Don't count it out. Because once everybody's seen Barbie and Oppenheimer, like Ray pointed out, you don't have a lot else opening in the next number of weeks. And Tom Cruise will still be there. And Top Gun had really long legs, right? Top Gun had people going back to it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And I'm not saying it's going to have the same kind of performance that Top Gun did. I'm just saying it's got the possibility to repeat something like that.
So does Barbie.
So does Barbie. All right.
Sorry.
What's next?
That was a little late.
Dusty Python writes, with Greta Gerwig making so much money for WB, if it was a big boss of WB, would you do everything you could for her to not go to Netflix and stay in WB?
Guys, listen to me. Directors do not belong to any studios.
Yeah.
Directors can to make a movie for one studio, make a movie with another studio. It's not like it's not like LeBron James went from Cleveland to Los Angeles. Like no, she can do as many movies for Warner Brothers as they want her to do. But in between those movies, she's taking a movie with another thing. So it's not like she's now on Team Netflix at all. Also, don't forget this. Greta Gerwig's a very good filmmaker. She's a 3-time Academy Award nominated filmmaker. 3-time. But she's never made much money for them. She's made really good movies for them. Never made a ton of money. So Barbie, yeah, it hit the zeitgeist. All the stars aligned. Perfect. But it's not like she's a guaranteed moneymaker, right? She's a guaranteed to make you a good, interesting film. But she's not a guaranteed moneymaker. But again, her going to make Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for Netflix does not preclude her at all from making 5 more films with Warner Brothers, right? Directors don't wear a jersey, okay? So just keep that in mind. All right, what's next?
Spoofman writes, I've seen the trailer for Killers of the Flower Moon in theaters. Because of that, it cemented that Apple is actually serious about theatrical.
They are 100% serious about theatrical. Mm-hmm. And they believe they're ahead of everybody else in understanding, hey, you know what? Instead of making these movies and then dumping them on our streaming service where they're not going to make any money for us, let's make excellent movies like Napoleon, like Killers of the Flower Moon. Let's make these excellent movies, put them in theaters, make a bunch of money, make them really famous, and then put them on Apple TV Plus.
Famous.
And it's like, hey, if you want to watch Napoleon and Killers of the Flower Moon, there's only one place you can come. Come to Apple TV Plus.
Apple Vision
That's
Pro.
the right approach. That is the smart approach. Not this bullshit. Like David Zaslav said it too. Like, why would we make movies for Max? What's the point in that? It's not cost effective. Make movies for theatrical. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do some passion projects and put them on your streamer. Sure. But Apple is 100%. What did they say? They dedicated $1 billion a year for theatrical movies. So they are dead serious about theatrical. And here's the thing. By being dead serious about theatrical, they're going to have more success with their streaming service because they're focusing on theatrical. It's not one or the other. It's a both and. All right. What's next?
Final question from Jeff Kang. What are your thoughts on Little People actors upset with Disney not casting Little People for Snow White? I feel that opportunities were taken.
Look, I've said this before. I will say it again. I say this every single time that an issue with this comes up. Stories do not serve the characters. Characters serve the stories. And characters don't serve the actors. The actors serve the characters. And just because in another iteration of this story, they decided to portray Oompa Loompas a certain way and decided to use, I don't know what the proper term is today, if it's little people or dwarves. I'm not sure what the proper terminology is. I'm going to say little people, but I say it with all due respect. Just because another iteration did that doesn't mean any new iteration has to do it that way. They're making a movie. And if they decide, you know what, we want Oompa Loompas to be this big, not this big. And if they're doing it that way, then it doesn't really matter. Listen, I'll tell you what, the highlight of the Willy Wonka trailer at CinemaCon and in the movie theaters was when Hugh Grant came up as an Oompa Loompa. It was perfect. People loved it. It made the movie better. And so, again, this is just the consistent thing with my philosophy. Stories are not there to serve the characters. Characters are there to serve the stories. And characters are not there to serve the actors. Actors are there to serve the stories. And if they felt that this is the best interpretation for these fictional, make-believe, mythological characters known as Oompa Loompas, then that's their prerogative. And nobody was entitled to play those roles. Right? These aren't real characters. Like, everybody understands that, right? Oompa Loompas aren't real. And if the filmmakers decided this is our best approach for these characters, then that's their prerogative. And I don't think anybody should feel a sense of entitlement to those roles one way or the other. Now, I know that's not the most popular thing to say, but I've said the exact same thing about other situations too when it comes to casting and different roles. So but listen, the one thing that is also true is that actors who are little people, you can't deny that there is a very, very slim number of opportunities given to them. There is. So I don't blame them at all for maybe getting a little bit like, hey, here's a story that could be an opportunity for us. I get them being upset. I do. But, you know, it's somebody else I heard have the same conversation. There's not a lot of roles out there for actors who are 7 feet tall or taller. Right? I mean, it's not like if you're born 7 feet, well, no one's born 7 feet, but it's not like if you're genetically born to the part that as an adult, you're going to be 7 feet tall, that it's either basketball or nothing. Like there are people who are that tall that want to be actors, but no one's given them roles unless it's in a John Wick movie. Right. And I get that, but yeah, again, I think and the filmmakers need to be able to put these roles how they see and envision their story coming together. And when you look at the response that it had at CinemaCon and you look at the response it's having in movie theaters when the trailers are playing, it's hard to argue that they made the right choice. But listen, I'm not going to pretend that I have the answers. I don't. I'm just one nobody film fan with my own particular point of view. And maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll feel the same way 5 years from now. Maybe I'll have a completely different opinion. But that's just kind of the way I see it right now. All right. And with that down, that'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming along and being a part of this with us. Big special thank you to all you guys who are our channel members, and Ryan Turbuco for making 5 more people our channel members. For giving us great topics to talk about and for being supportive of our channel. By the way, for all of you who are channel members, we are having a channel member in about little under an hour from now, about 45 minutes from now. We're going to be doing a channel members town hall meeting. So make sure you come out. You got to be a channel member in order to attend it. So come on by and join us for that. So for everybody in the room, Ray Ora, Jonathan Voico,
See ya.
My name's John Campea. 42 hours until Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And until next time, my friends,
Don't do that.
bye-bye.